Welcome to the Hollis Chapman Show, where we celebrate the power of words and the beauty of storytelling. Join us on this journey as we delve into the minds of successful authors and small business owners who have mastered the art of crafting captivating narratives that inspire, educate, and entertain. Prepare to be inspired as we explore the boundless possibilities that come from sharing stories and experiences that shape our lives and ignite our passions. Through heartfelt conversations and insightful discussions, we uncover the wisdom and creativity that fuel these incredible individuals in their pursuit of greatness. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let the magic of storytelling transport you to new worlds and perspectives. Get ready to be inspired, informed, and uplifted as we embark on this storytelling journey together. Stay tuned for an episode filled with wisdom, inspiration, and the power of words. Welcome to the Hollis Chapman Show, where stories come alive. Let's begin this adventure together. Don't miss out on the opportunity to connect with some of the most talented and compelling voices in literature today. Tune in and let the journey begin. Authors and small business owners.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Very excited to have you here today. We have a special guest today. She's here to talk about her travels, writer, wonderful things. So she'll tell you all about it. She is a New York City-based adventure, luxury, lifestyle profile writer. She is a contributor for many magazines. She's been published in kind of different awards. Outstanding. She's very excited. She's 81 years young. And that's exciting too, but she's exciting. When she talks and gets you into it, she gets you mood, you want to travel as well. So I'm kind of jealous. She's been to 150 countries all over. That's exciting right there. So without further ado, let's welcome to our show our special guest today, Margie Goldsmith. Hi, Margie.
Hi, Hollis. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for the inspiration and joining us and sharing your story, your badass new book. I love it. So tell us more about yourself and your new book, ma'am.
Okay, well, my book is called Becoming a Badass from Fearful to Fierce because that's who I was. I was very fearful as a child with a very dysfunctional family. You name it, it was in my family. There was suicide, there was incest, there was cancer, there was manic depression, there was schizophrenia, none of this by me, simply by the other family members. So I had to get out of that house because I knew that I would just be ruined if I stayed there because I was told I wasn't good enough. And that's also why I've written the book for anybody who's ever felt less than, because I think we all do in some way, and how you can pull yourself up and become a badass, as it were.
Yeah.
So
What gave you the strength, ma'am, to make that move, to stay the course, and have such a successful career? Was there a certain person you looked up to who took the place of your parents and your family environment? Kind of give us an idea of what made Margie continue, because we see a lot of stuff today where people give up, take their lives. Suicide is an amazing high. People just give up. What made Margie stick the course and stay strong and boom?
Well, I'd love to say there was a fabulous mentor, but there wasn't. When I graduated from college, I was going to Europe because I had a $200 ticket from Columbia University round trip. And because my boyfriend at the time had kind of rejected me. So I said to myself, I'll show him, which has been my attitude all my life. I'll show you that I can do it. Don't tell me I'm not good enough. So I went to Europe. And I stayed in Europe mainly to get away from my mother. My father by that time had committed suicide, so she was left. And it was back in the days of long distance. There was no Skype, there were no cell phones, and it was very expensive to call Europe. So I knew I'd be safe there because she was too cheap to call me. So I actually stayed. She found my hotel. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm staying in Paris." And she said, "Why?" I said, "Because I want to." And she said, "Are you in trouble?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, when are you coming home?" I said, "I don't know." And that was the beginning of a whole new journey. And just by having the courage to go to a country where I spoke horrible French, I had 3 years of high school French, but it didn't mean anything. And I had to fend for myself and learn the metro system and learn how to eat. All I could say was omelette, or omelette jambon, meaning an omelet with ham in it. Uh, I could also say beefsteak, but I couldn't order that because that was too expensive. So for months, I ate nothing but omelets and baguettes. But it's okay. Everything turned out fine. And I got a job soon after that because it was August. And everybody goes away in August. So it was simple to get a job because people needed someone to man the phones. And it happened to be in a film production company. And it was the kind of company that you see the lips moving and it's been dubbed into English and the lips are going blah, 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 and the translation is no, so it's kind of ridiculous. My job was to cast these actors. But then I met a man, and he was a director who'd been blacklisted by McCarthy. So I started working for him, fell in love with him, and he was my first mentor. Now, he was 27 years older, but this was Paris. It didn't matter. Love was love. So that was the beginning. I learned everything about creativity from him. And then I left him. We came back to New York. I divorced him. And went on about my life and got into a film production company who had a client, the American Society of Travel Agents. So that sent me traveling around the world. And that's when I got the wanderlust, because my job was to go to 4 different countries and do these little film biographies of the people who had contributed the most to travel in the 20th century. And I couldn't believe it. Here I was in Thailand on somebody else's dime, except there was a cameraman with me and a sound man. And I thought, I don't want to travel the world with these people. I just want to travel the world and write about it. So that began the travel career and the many countries since then, because they've all been for articles. So listen, Hollis, when I die, I want to come back as me. I mean, I've been very lucky coming from the family I did and just turning my life around. And anybody can do that if they just don't listen to those little voices inside their head, which say, you're not good enough, you'll never be able to do it, you're nothing. Because we all have those voices, but we don't need to let them run our lives. There's always going to be a committee meeting going on in our heads. But if we let it control us, then we can't do anything. So what I've learned is try to do one thing a month or a year, if it's something really scary, that scares me. I don't care if it's circumnavigating the CN Tower in Toronto, which is very high, like the Empire State Building, or whether it's, rafting in the Colorado River, or whether it's doing something less adventurous and just trying to teach harmonica to kids in Mongolia. But if I keep doing things that scare me, then even if I fail, at least I tried to do it. And that's been my attitude since. A lot of us don't do things because, oh, I'll never be able to do that. Well, yes, you can if you try it.
That's wonderful. Again, your story is so inspiring. If if I didn't say your age, we'll never know what your age is, because you speak a lot younger than what you are. And that's very inspiring. You're going to go for another 90 years. And that's wonderful. So that is outstanding. You keep on doing that. You keep on being that way, because again, when things are tough, like it is a lot of us around us now, just look to Margie. Come on now, just look to you. So that's good. If channel that fear into great stuff. So you talked about travel. That's outstanding. Talk a little bit about the health issues you've had and overcoming that. Because you've had a couple of things here and there over your lifetime, and you overcame them. Talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so one day in 2014, I had a horrible stomach ache, and I was told to go to the ER, and I did, and it turned out to be cancer in my pancreas. So they performed something called a Whipple, which I thought was what nuns wear on their head, but that's a wimple. A Whipple, they cut open 6 organs, they take this out, they move this around, very painful, and a lot of people die from it. I remember later I went to we call it doc in the box, these things on the street where you can go in for instant care without going to a hospital. And I see a doctor there, and he said, "You had a Whipple?" I said, "Yeah, I had a Whipple." He said, "You had a Whipple?" I said, "You said that already. What are you referring to?" He said, "You must have had a very good doctor." So we know this was not, a small time operation. So here I am in the hospital, miserable, but all my life I've